there are way too many options out there when it comes to recording an episode for your podcast. It's easy to get mixed up and confused and feel really overwhelmed by all of the options. So today we're going to be breaking it down in very simple steps, starting with your workflow, your comfort levels with technology, and so much more. I'm also going to be sharing some of my favorite tools and the ones that I recommend you use to record a quality podcast. Welcome to Successful Podcasting Unlocked. My name is Alicia Galati. I am the founder of Galati Media, a full-service podcast management agency where we help business owners launch and maintain lead-generating podcasts. Today's question is, what are the best podcast recording options? First, we're going to be considering our workflow. Now, you might be someone where you just need a simple step-by-step process. You're not trying to do a video podcast, or maybe you just want to do audio, or maybe you would like to have some video options for marketing. There are so many different ways to go about this. So first things first, I want you to consider what it is that you're trying to record. Are you trying to record a podcast episode that is interview style? Is it going to be solo? Today, we're going to be breaking it down into interview styles that are both video and audio, and then what to do if you're doing just video or just audio. So we'll break that down a little bit. And then we're going to break down the solo podcast episodes, both video and audio, and some options and price ranges of what you can expect with some of the tools that I'm going to recommend here. Another thing that I want you to consider is your comfort level with tech. Everything that I'm going to recommend or share with you is going to be so simple, and the learning curve is not going to be that bad. We have resources available on a lot of these different things, and on some of those tools that we're going to recommend, there are also ways that you can easily just look at their blog posts or look at their tutorials, and it makes it so simple. The last thing that we're going to consider is the affordability. So I'm going to give you price ranges for all of these things that I'm mentioning, and we're going to break down all of these different options, but they're all going to be quality options. None of these are going to be ones that are going to create low quality podcast episodes. That is very important. For an interview style podcast, it's going to be the same for a video or an audio podcast. So it doesn't matter if you are someone who just likes to do video or you want to have just that audio element. My number one recommendation is Riverside, and I'm actually recording this on Riverside right now, and this is a solo episode, but I record all of my interview episodes for the Listeners to Leads podcast, which is a sister podcast to this one, and all of those are recorded on Riverside. Riverside makes it so easy to have everything within the frame that you need it to. It makes the quality of the upload fantastic. So using Riverside, that is going to be really great. I don't recommend using Zoom for your podcast. And the reason that I like Riverside over Zoom is that Zoom will record over your internet. So if you're like me and sometimes your internet is finicky or does not want to work with you that day, or Mercury's doing its microwave stuff, then you want to make sure that you have something that is going to be quality, so that way you don't have to go back and re-record it. It makes you look unprofessional. The guest might get annoyed or frustrated, and then they might not want to come back on. So Riverside makes that so seamless and easy because it's recording to the person's computer and to your computer and then to the cloud from there. I had a podcast interview that I did a few years ago, and I've been using Riverside for a few years now. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago now at this point, where the person, I could not hear most of what she said. It was really frustrating. Her internet was just so terrible. And I was simply asking questions and then she was responding. There wasn't a lot of that back and forth interaction that I tend to have with my guests, but by the end, I still had a usable episode. So it made it where I didn't have to reach back out and reschedule. I didn't have to reach back out and re-record. Made it so easy. As a video podcaster, so you have a podcast that you want to be a video first podcast or have that video element, Riverside is great for solo episodes as well. even if they're scripted. Now, I am not someone who enjoys doing a scripted episode. I prefer to simply have bullet points and then to riff off of those. But if you're someone who's like, look, I might need a TV prompt style thing going on, Riverside has that as well. If you go to the script section at the bottom of your screen when you're on Riverside and you're recording, they have it where you can paste that right in there and it will actually play as you're talking. So think teleprompter style. Really cool. I don't use it, like I said, because it makes me uncomfortable. But if you're someone who likes to script your podcasts, going back to that workflow, that's an option for you. Additionally, to record a quality episode, so now you've got your audio, you've got that quality there, you can then move it over to Audacity. Audacity is free and it is available on Mac as well as on Windows software. So you can use it. It's so simple and easy to use. We also have a blog post. I'll make sure that I link that in the description where we go through how to edit a podcast in Audacity. So it is a step-by-step guide going through all of the things that you'll need to know in order to create a quality podcast using Audacity. Now that you've got that episode, one thing that I really like is to run it all through Auphonic. Auphonic is a really affordable tool that equalizes the audio at the end of your editing. So if you have a guest who's really soft-spoken, or if maybe they have some fan noises in the background, there are tons of different resources obviously out there that you can use. Auphonic makes that super simple to make it all very nice and clean, as well as once you add it in your intro and your outro and the music, make it so that you're not blasting the eardrums out of your listeners, and it makes it very nice. So Riverside, Audacity, plus Auphonic comes to be about less than $35 a month. Like I said, really affordable way to create a podcast that is quality and record something that your listeners are going to enjoy. Now that we've covered the interview style podcast, now the solo episodes. So there are two different ways you can go about this. If you have a video solo podcast, then you'll use the same thing. So Riverside plus Audacity plus Auphonic, which comes to less than $35 a month. But if you have an audio only podcast, you might not want to bother with seeing your face on Riverside, which is okay. The thing that I love is just to record right into Audacity. So it cuts out Riverside completely for those solo episodes. And then you're able to just record into Audacity and then add in that Auphonic to equalize everything and make it all sound great. That ends up putting it at about $15 or less than $15 a month. Both of these options are really affordable. They make a ton of sense for podcasters, and it's the best, I think, the best recording softwares to use to create a quality podcast. Now, obviously, there are other things that you're going to need to consider when it comes to recording your episodes, what kind of microphone you're using, what kind of background noise you have, all of that. We'll definitely touch more into those different things, but when it comes to simply recording, Riverside is fantastic, love them. Audacity is free and great, and then Auphonic to make sure that everything is nice and clean on the back end and to create something that is going to get out to your audience and creates a very low barrier of entry, right? A lot of the videos and podcast episodes and blog posts that I've seen that tell you how to record a quality podcast, they tend to list out 15 different tools. No, we're going to keep it super simple here. And these are the tools I use. These are the tools I love. These are the ones that I recommend to our clients. So these are the ones that you can use to create a great podcast. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you found this helpful, I really would appreciate it if you shared this video with a friend. And if you have your own podcasting questions that you want answered on the podcast, make sure that you go to successfulpodcastingunlocked.com and we'll collect your questions there so we can answer them on a future episode.